Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Furs, Feathers, and Fangs Creature Feature, a weekly series in which I talk about some of the amazing animals we get to share this planet with. Since we are still in October, I'm going to keep the spooky theme going here, and this week we're going to talk about bats. Bats are usually on everybody's lists of animals that they just don't like, on their list of creepy crawlers, as it were. Can it technically be a creepy crawler if it doesn't crawl? I mean, they fly, but I'm off topic. Bats are the only mammals capable of sustained flight. Other animals might be able to glide, but the bat is the only animal that can use its wings to maintain powered flight. And at roughly 1,100 species, they make up about 20% of all mammals on Earth. Now, to maintain their flight, bats use their wings, obviously, and it's interesting to note that the structure of their wings is basically, if you look at the visual right there, ain't that cool? It's basically if you were to take a human hand and stretch out all of the fingers and then put webbing in between them, that's roughly what a bat's wing is like. Now, there are a couple of different groups of bats. There are insectivores, ones which sustain themselves by eating mosquitoes and gnats and flies and all the pesky stuff that we don't like. So we actually owe a bit of gratitude to bats for keeping the pest population down. Another large group of bats is actually called fruit bats, and they feed exclusively on fruit and help to disperse seeds in their tropical homes. In fact, there are some species of plants whose seeds will not germinate unless they have been passed through the digestive system of fruit bats. So again, thanks bats. Now I know what you're all thinking. Zach, what about vampire bats? Well, it is true, there are vampire bats, but only 3 species of them. And they're the only mammals that sustain themselves solely on the blood of other creatures. But it is exceedingly rare that vampire bats will feed on people. And they're only native to South America, so we have nothing to worry about up here. Vampire bats use their extremely sharp teeth to nick a small hole in the skin of their prey, usually some sort of livestock, since they inhabit the same regions that people do. They also will excrete in their saliva a mild sedative, which alleviates any pain that the victim might feel, alerting them to the bat's presence. They also excrete an anticoagulant, which will keep the blood flowing. Interestingly enough, scientists have been able to figure out the enzyme in vampire bat saliva that allows for the anticoagulation and the free flowing of blood, and that has been used in treating several different types of disorders in humans, from stroke victims to high blood pressure, even in people recovering from surgery that need to reestablish healthy blood flow to certain parts of their body. So, thank you, vampire bats. Another interesting fact about vampire bats: like most other bats, they are social animals, and they roost in groups known as colonies. If there are members of the colony that are sick or weak and can't go out and forage a meal for themselves, other bats will drink extra blood, and they will bring it back, and they will regurgitate that blood for the sick or weak individual. Kind of funny and ironic that an animal that so many people are afraid of actually is very caring and nurturing. As far as bats that are insectivores, species that we have here in the United States are the big brown bat, the Mexican fruit-tail bat, and about 42 others. But a single bat in 1 hour can consume as many as 600 mosquitoes. So it's pretty cool that flying around using their echolocation, they can pinpoint these tiny little insects, and in flight in the dark, bam, they can snatch them up and make a meal. In fact, an individual bat can eat its own weight in insects in one night. Bats use something called echolocation that I mentioned, and that is where they emit high frequency sounds that travel out, bounce off of an object, and come back. And in the bat's mind, it can form an image of its surroundings, and that will help it pinpoint not only where obstacles are in flight, but it will help them tune in on a meal. And it is thought that echolocation actually developed in bats after their ability to flight came in. Echolocation is also the tool used by dolphins and whales to help navigate and find food in the ocean. Now, bats come in a variety of different shapes and sizes. Some have humongous ears to aid in the processing of their echolocation, similar to this guy here. Some can be as small as a bumblebee. In fact, the smallest bat in the world, the bumblebee bat of Thailand, is about the size of my thumbnail and weighs less than a penny. Going to the larger range of bats, the golden flying fox of Malaysia is the largest bat and can have a wingspan of over 6 feet. But don't worry, flying foxes are members of the fruit bat family, so he's much more interested in gobbling down a papaya than it is messing around with us people. Not only do bats make up about 20% of all mammal species, they're one of the most widely dispersed, inhabiting every continent except for Antarctica. Most species of bats in North America are listed as endangered or vulnerable. And this is due to a couple different things. One is habitat destruction. Another is issues with pesticide residues in the environment. But the main danger to bats in North America is something called white noise syndrome. And what that is a fungal infection that can run rampant through a colony of bats. And when I say a colony, it's not just a couple dozen. Some bat colonies, for example, the Mexican free-tail bat, which can number in colonies as many as 20 million individuals. White noise syndrome will go through a colony and the fungus will infect the nasal passages, the ears, and the respiratory system of the bat. And if it gets into the ears, the bat can't use its echolocation, hence the term white noise syndrome. But because of the important role that they play in their ecosystems, bats are protected in North America. And thanks to conservation efforts, populations are starting to steady. It's still weird to me, being a new YouTuber. I'll be walking along here and people pass and I put my camera away. And I think that's something I just need to get over. I did have someone recognize me last week when I was out here filming the wolf creature feature. And they said, "Hey, I know you from YouTube." I thought to myself, well, it's working. That is about all the time I have for today, though. The sun is getting low. It's getting a little chilly out here. And I'm sure that if I stuck around, I would start seeing bats flying around here because there are a ton of bugs out here for bats to eat. What do you think about bats? Leave that down in the comments below. If you have any questions, leave that there as well. If you would like to see more videos from this channel, click right here. That'll take you to my creature feature playlist. If you want to see different videos, click right below that. That'll take you to the wild excursion playlist. Quimby, my friend, would you tell the nice people where they can subscribe? Thank you, my friend. If you like Furs, Feathers, and Fangs, be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/FursFeathersFangs. This has been Zach. If I don't see you beforehand, have a very happy Halloween. And as always, have a wild day, everyone.